traffic, airplane 4041 uniform, departing 11, right in.
But there were like 3 or 4 times where this Ryanair 737 just rushed along me. I'm sitting in my Astia at 1,300 meters and 300 meters below it was...
This is Soaring the Sky, a glider pilot's podcast, coming to you from the Mid-Atlantic region here in the United States and bringing you great soaring content from glider pilots all over the globe. We now join Chuck and our guest pilot.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Soaring community, for joining us today for another soaring adventure. Recently, the first ever FAI eSports Virtual Sailplane World Grand Prix took place. Exciting stuff, and today we are honored and privileged to have the winner and first ever Virtual Grand Prix champion of that race. Ben Fest joins us. Ben joins us from Germany. He started flying sailplanes virtually before even ever getting into the real cockpit of a sailplane. In our conversation today, Ben shares how virtual soaring helped his real flying and tells us some stories and experiences he has had soaring and how he got involved into this awesome first ever esports sailplane event. Now, some of you have already had the heads up on our guest because you are one of our Patreon pilots. Thank you for that. One of the perks, since you help us out financially here on the podcast, if you would like to help us out, you can go to patreon.com/Soaring the Sky, or of course you can hit the link in the show notes. And if you don't want to use Patreon, but you'd still like to help us out, you can go to soaringthesky.com, where we give you some other options there, of course, as well. And of course, we are also very thankful to all of our great sponsors here. Wings and Wheels has been serving the soaring and sport aviation community for over 30 years. They hands down have the largest and most comprehensive inventory of sailplane and soaring supplies in North America, and they ship globally. Nearly everything you'll find on their site is in stock and ready for same-day shipping. Wings and Wheels is the exclusive American representative for HPH sailplanes. Be sure to check out the Twin Shark, their latest launch. The team has thousands of hours of flying experience in gliders and airplanes, staffed by Adam, Kelly, Julie, and Sean. A friendly voice will answer when you call or email them. Check them out at wingsandwheels.com. Ben Fest, welcome to the show. And first off, let me congratulate you for winning the world's first ever FAI-sanctioned sailplane, virtual sailplane event, esports event. You are now part of history, man. That's pretty cool.
Oh, Chuck, yeah, thank you very much. I'm totally happy to be with you here, or you invited me to your little show. So thank you for having me and looking forward to a nice, let me say, 1 hour or something. We don't know yet.
All right, we're just going to have some fun. And also, it's pretty cool because as part of the winning, that Just Soaring sim rig is on the way, I heard.
Oh, yeah. Mitch did a great job as, or offered one of his babies, I would say.
Right? Yeah, that's.
And I'm really looking forward to get it here and to build it up and have a seat in it.
You're gonna have a blast. That's awesome.
Did you try it already? Sorry,
I didn't, but I'm looking forward to trying that myself. So you're gonna have to let me know.
Yeah, I will send some pictures or something then.
Oh, awesome. So before we get into the interview here, I always like to start off asking guests how their aviation journey began and what or who inspired them along the way. So, Ben, how did things get started for you?
Yeah, well, that's some kind of difficult question. I always have been kind of an aviation enthusiast. So my parents haven't had any aviation background or something. It just came from on my own, And then we did a lot of time. So basically, when we flew into on holidays or something, the best thing for me was always the flight and the returning flight.
Yeah.
So we just it just came along. I don't know why or how, but aviation was always my kind of biggest hobby. And then I suddenly decided, okay, where can I start flying? And I saw all the gliders at my where I started or where I grew up, and saw the gliders up in the sky and thought, okay, when I'm getting 14, I definitely need to start real life flying, and so I did.
So first time you got in the cockpit then of a glider when you were 14?
It was a little bit earlier. I started with 13 and a half, so you were able to start in Germany with 14, but with a special permission you could start half a year or 1 year earlier with 13. Nowadays it's something different, but back the days it was like that. And then I jumped into the cockpit and did my first solo flight with 14 years. That's quite some time ago now, 11 years ago. So but I really looking back to that time starting real life flying.
Yeah, you were like all of us. Once we got in that cockpit of the sailplane, we were done, right? We had to do it again.
Yeah, I was hooked, I definitely need to continue that. And
So Ben, can you tell the listeners a little bit about your Condor setup and what you have there? I read somewhere that you only use a VR headset when you're doing online racing. So I guess that means that maybe you use the native flight computer PDA inside of the Condor for all your racing. And maybe you could talk a little bit about how you have the buttons assigned on your joystick.
Yeah.
Or unless that's top secret, and you'd have to kill me if you told me.
Okay, that's no problem. We can talk about that a little bit. I started real life gliding with 13 and a half, and I think I started Condor flying half a year or 1 year earlier, so maybe around 2008.
Oh, nice.
And I put a lot of hours after that into Condor, and my setup grew as well. I started with just one joystick and then bought some rudder pedals throughout the time, and then bought another joystick and all this kind of stuff. The setup grew. I joined the beta team from Condor some, I think, 3 or 4 years ago now, and we needed some guys to test the VR, so got glasses and tested VR for Condor then. And from then on, I wasn't able to, or I'm totally happy with the glasses, and it's such a big difference to fly Condor with VR. Of course, it has some bad things about it, because I can't see like a third party thing like XCSAW or something. I just need to use what Condor gives me, and that's the PDA from Condor. And for some people that's bad, but for me it's like, okay, I'm used to it. I know what to do.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the Condor pilots prefer to have that external monitor and the IR head tracking so they can look at the physical maps or even their own flight computers and running XCSAW, LK, or Top Hat. But those flight computers do indeed have a lot of functionality that the native PDA in Condor doesn't have. Almost limitless amount of options and data there in graphs. It's interesting that you've been so successful by staying inside the VR headset when so many, they use the tracking and the monitors and outside.
Yeah, thank you. I always I get the point that there's a lot of options missing in the Condor PDA, but as I already said, it's just I'm used to it. I think most of the things that I decide get decided while looking at the briefing and the weather and the map there. So I have a plan inside my head and just need to fly it in Condor then. So that's a big part about preparation of the race, and then you don't need these computer things anymore, because you have this plan in your head and I follow it or make a little bit different decision. Then it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. Yeah.
Well, it turned out great for you this time. That's awesome.
Definitely, yeah.
One of the questions, we often ask soaring pilots is, what is your favorite type of bird to follow and lift? But, that got us thinking, does Condor have soaring birds in the simulator? I don't even remember seeing them. Do you have dust devils on the ground? Any of that stuff going on in Condor?
Well, sadly, there isn't anything like that in Condor. You just have to watch at the clouds forming or despiting. And I really would like to see these kind of things you can see in the real life. For example, if I fly in real life, often I see buzzards being in low level around the airfield, and I just fly there and get like a nice steady lift out of the airport, And if you are in high altitude, my favorite bird to circle with is like a stork,
Oh, very cool.
They look so great. And it's I just said, I had like 3 or 4 flights with storks thermaling beside me, and they look so, I don't know, beautiful and funny at the same time. And it really is a lot of fun circling with them. But sadly, we doesn't have anything like that in Condor. maybe that's something for version 3. I remember we thought about that for version 2 as well, but yeah, as you get animals or something, you can model it, but is it the thing we need to focus for Condor,
Right. Well, maybe in the future they'll throw some of those in there. That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Our longtime sponsor of the show, the Soaring Academy, is engaged in nonprofit outreach work with local area veterans and also with young people for the STEM programs at their top-notch glider port facility just outside of Los Angeles, nestled near the north side of the San Gabriel Mountains. They also have a fantastic flight school and are continuing to turn out great glider pilots every month. If you like to donate to their nonprofit initiatives or learn more about their flight school, go to soaringacademy.org or check them out on Instagram at Soaring Academy. For glider pilots maybe not familiar with Condor, can you describe briefly how the weather works inside of a racing environment? Is it similar to the real sailplane race?
Yeah, that's a big point on the big question. We can talk a lot about that like for hours, I think.
Yeah.
But for anyone who doesn't know how Condor weather works, it's like you have static weather that's really important. It's the whole day, it's the same weather. So for the whole of the map, there's no changes or anything like that. And what you set up is like you set up first the wind direction, then you set up like a thermal activity and a thermal setting, like how much activity should be in flatlands, how much activity should be in the mountains, how much lift should you get, like it's weak or is it very good, something like that. And you can set up like a little bit of cloud streets and all this stuff and the thermal width. Then in Condor 2 they came up with a wave system. That's something very interesting and hard thing to program, I think. But with all these things you can play and set up if you want like a very weak weather in Condor, or you can set up a very bombastic weather in Condor. And I think it's the most fun to find the perfect balance in between to get like a good or a fun race for you, where it's a bit challenging, but that it's not that easy as some tasks. For example, with the Sailplane Grand Prix we just flew, we had the guys who set up the task, they try to reproduce the real life weather as good as it can get with the static weather, Yeah, they did an awesome job. For example, at the first racing day we had like the same or nearly exactly the same average speed as the guys in real life, and I think that shows that it's comparable, but as I said, it's static weather for all of the map, and there's still something missing for this fully real life experience in weather-wise.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better, but it is kind of cool that you can set up the weather how you like it, and it's great for training. But yeah, interact as far as more real life, how the weather is sometimes constantly changing on us while we're in the air. But I'm sure they'll get better at that. Speaking of, what are some things that you think Condor could do from the software side, or that hardware providers and sim rig builders like Just Soaring could do from the hardware side to maybe enhance the realism of flying a virtual glider? Whether that's like dynamic weather that we were talking about on the Condor side, or some way to maybe simulate the feel of a bump, maybe a thermal or turbulence on the hardware side, things like that. What do you think they could do?
Yeah, we talked about that already a bit, and I think the weather is something that needs to be improved a lot, or needs to thought about a lot, and that should be a key point for Condor version 3, which have been announced during the Sailplane Grand Prix. And so software side, we definitely need to look for that, like convergence, I don't know, changing weather, different kind of lifts above the snow line, and all these kind of stuff. It's so hard to model that or put it into software. That's a lot of work to do. But if you look at the hardware side, I think Just Soaring and Mitch, what he's doing or providing with his new SimRig Pro, that's something that needs to get into the Condor community. For us, it's always you have like these rudder pedals and your force feedback stick, and that's it. And you sit in front of your normal PC with nothing else around you. That's something that needs to get into the Condor community. So
Right.
for sim racing, you have all these kind of full motion seats or something, and it's really nice to have them, and makes a lot of difference for sim races, and I think it makes a lot of difference for gliding pilots as well, as you have like a flap lever or a brake lever and a gear control thing that makes a lot of difference, and I think gets you a real better feeling sitting in a real plane. Of course, the just soaring rig is not on a motion platform. That's something that is future wise. It's way far in the future.
Right. Well, I know you're pretty excited to get your hands on that Sim Pro from Just Soaring, but it sounds like definitely you'll be one of the first in the world to get your hands on it, which is pretty cool. But personally, I think it's pretty cool those guys posted up a big prize like that for the Grand Prix. I mean, it's great for the sport when sponsors try to really juice the prizes and make things interesting.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of eSport things, it was the first time that you are able to win something with Condor. You never had the chance before. We were just flying the races on our own, and everybody was happy with their own results and things like that. But this time it was something different, that there were prizes for flying Condor. That's nothing we are used to, and me neither. So I'm really looking forward to get my hands on the Simrig Pro, and I think it's interesting for Mitchell as well to see how it feels for for kind of Condor guys. And
yeah, exactly.
so I can give them
get your feedback on what.
Yeah, exactly. I can give a lot of feedback for him. I prepared a small place here inside my small flat in Mainz, and yeah, I'm ready to build it up
Nice.
if it's arriving. If it's arrived.
Yeah, that's going to be very cool. Okay, so I have one more Condor question, Ben. Being both a real sailplane and a virtual sailplane pilot, do you think that during a long off season of flying Condor that it's possible for bad habits to form, or, for example, sight pictures or profiles that may be different in Condor from the real world? Or do you mostly think it's very positive thing to fly Condor as a student learning, or even a seasoned pilot in the off season? There's so many old school pilots out there that just poo-poo the idea of using a computer to fly a sailplane.
Yeah, I definitely see the point. I think it's always really, really important for everybody out there to separate the real life from flying in Condor. It's the most important thing. Even you are doing like the same thing, like flying a glider, but remember, like, safety is a bigger part in real life. You always have to think about a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, for example. And you
Yeah.
can't just go for these Condor moments like, okay, I just go over that pass. It's enough. Yes.
Right.
And so you definitely need to separate these two worlds, I think. But I think Condor gives you, or still lets you feel what it's about while flying. It's about decision making and all this kind of stuff, especially for glider racing. And you still get good through the winter. You can fly with your friends, talk about the summer or something, talk about the winter as well. But
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
these community vibes and these fun to fly and just do it, and you can compete with others all around the world, and that's so much fun to do, not only during the winter times, but of course you are home and it's dark outside, so what else could you do than flying Condor?
Right.
And yeah, but I think there won't be any bad habits as long as you separate these worlds from real life flying and Condor. So just do it and you are happy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I always look forward to the winter months. A few of us get together and fly Condor. It's so much fun just chatting with your friends while you're flying in the Alps or wherever you choose to fly. It's pretty cool. Okay, Ben, so finally, now shifting to the real glider world. Quite popular these days, of course, are YouTubes like Pure Glide, for example, where a CFI looks at a video of an accident or almost accident and gives some commentary about it that we can learn from. In your own glider flying, have you or anyone close to you had a real sketchy or scary experience? And if yes, could you describe it for us and what we might be able to learn from that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I like these videos where you can that you were talking about. So it's very interesting, and everybody can learn from it. And I remember a story back from Wesel where I started gliding. You know, we had to build up the gliders out of the trailer every day. So we rigged them up, and we had a Jeans Astia CS, and build it up and do the pre-flight check and all this kind of stuff, and rode over to the start, and everything was okay. So as we were flight students, always a flight instructor has to check the plane before the first takeoff. And he checked the plane, went around, everything fine, got to the elevator, and we said like up, yeah, okay, and down, up and down, and there was no response in the elevator. So the hotelier connection wasn't connected correctly, but it was, as we checked it, it worked totally fine. But as we checked it in front of just before 5 minutes before the first start, it wasn't connected. And I really don't want to think about what would happen if we started this glider without a working elevator.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was a really moment where I thought, okay, always go for this all kind of checks and do them with open eyes, and maybe do them with 4 eyes better than 2 or 1 eye. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's really important to have these kind of pre-flight checks, and that you keep in mind it's your life that's connected to the glider and with the material. And that's something different to Condor as well, as we talked about, that you don't need to check your glider, it's always working, you know. So in real life, it's your life.
Absolutely. Just Soaring, the makers of the Glider Sim Pro Sailplane Simulator Cockpit, would like to congratulate German pilot Ben Fest for his recent victory in the first ever FAI-sanctioned aviation eSports event in history, the Sailplane World Grand Prix, which Ben won after several days of exciting competition against some of the top Condor soaring pilots from around the world. If you are looking for a best-in-class dedicated sailplane simulator cockpit for Condor or Microsoft Flight Sim, look no further than the Just Soaring Glider Sim Pro. Check them out at justsoaring.com or at just.soaring on Instagram. If you look back over all the years, and I know it's hard to pick just one, but if you had to pick just one flight, which one stands out as the most memorable? Maybe you could share that with our listeners.
Oh yeah, that's, no, there have been quite a few flights, not many cross-country flights, as I did my license quite late. But after I got my license, I did one flight, a normal flight here from Langfeld where I fly, and I did like not really racing, but I flew with 2 Discus 2 from the Aero Club NRW, so good pilots and good planes, and I flew in the Discus 1 with them, like I think 150 kilometers together, and we rushed along a cloud street with 3 gliders at the same altitude, and that was like one of the best moments I think so far. Just rushing along with these 2 guys, seeing them close together, flying in formation, and having just some fun on a free flight, cross-country flight, and I really like these moments where you would just fly straight and it's not going down. You fly like 50 kilometers without one circle and still have like 1,800 meters below the cloud base.
Sweet.
So these are the greatest days I think I've or one of the greatest moments I had so far. That was really, really fun.
Nice. Ben, can you tell the listeners about the glider port you fly out of most often? Is it pavement, grass, dirt, winch, tow planes? How many members? Any special airspace around it? All of that.
Yeah, I already said it's like it's Langenfeld, or it's LSG Erbslöh. It's between Düsseldorf and Cologne. It's surrounded by all kind of airspace, you know.
Oh,
There's not much free flying. You have this like sector that's 10 kilometers or something, and you need to fly out of that into the Sauerland or into the Eifel, and that's our area where we can do like cross country flying. It's quite a small airfield. It's just for gliding and for tow planes as well, but we often or normally use the winch, and it's just a grass airfield within, I think, on the one side it's more or less a forest or field thing, and on the other side there's a small town called Solingen. That's the airfield. There's really nothing special about it, I would say, despite the airspaces from Düsseldorf Airport and Cologne Airport. So you need to be careful there.
Yeah, that makes it kind of interesting. You got to definitely be aware of what's going on all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So we have the sector, and it's okay. So I got used to flying above airliners in Wesel. There was
Wow.
there was the final glide for Weze. That's a little international airport. It's a small airport where Ryanair flew a lot from. They had like 12 or 15 departures during the day and landings. And at the beginning where this Weze airport grew a bit, they don't had TMC or something, transponder monitoring zone. They had nothing, and they just were at 3,000 feet, and I was like at 5,000 feet.
Wow.
Circling, and there was a 737 just rushing by right below me. You know, that was something. If you think about that today, it's like, what the fuck? What? Why nobody said stop? You know. But there were like 3 or 4 times where this Ryanair 737 just rushed along me. I'm sitting in my Astia at 1,300 meters, and 300 meters below it was rushing along. So that's something very interesting.
Oh, if you weren't awake, you were then, right?
Yeah. You need your eyes open, and that's definitely something important in real life.
Oh yeah, wow.
Always have your eyes open.
Amen to that. So speaking of so bucket list, what locations on your bucket list that you'd like to soar maybe someday, and why?
Oh yeah, I only had the chance to fly in Langfeld and Wesel, and maybe some gliding holidays in Ulm, South Germany, and some days in the east of Germany in Perleberg. So, but it always was like flatland, and always my dream or my bucket list is to fly within ridges within the Alps, maybe like Saint-Aubin. You know, one part of the prize of this year's Grand Prix was I get a flight at Saint-Aubin with one of the French Federation pilots with an Arcus in this area, and they invited me to come along and have this flight. So that's definitely such a big prize for me. You know, it always is my dream to fly at ridges.
You're gonna have to tell us about that when you experience that.
Yeah, definitely. So that's something new to me, and as I started gliding, it was always my dream to get there and to fly along some ridges and see what it is to be in the wave at, I don't know, 5,000 meters or something.
Right.
So that's something I'm really looking forward to, and it can be a lot of fun, I think. So.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. That's great. So if money was no object, what sailplane would you buy and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought about that quite some time now.
Right.
but I think it's, you know, it's a German Champiert Ventus 3M. So self-launching Ventus 3. That's a 80-meter class glider with awesome, good-looking shape and all this kind of stuff. Great cockpit thing, and it's an awesome glider with a good results or good flying. And you know, if with a self-launching glider, you're kind of independent, and that's something helpful while gliding on your own. You know, it's not. You have to be in a club or somewhere to start, you know, but
definitely
you can go to Saint-Aubin and say, I'm here. Can I glide with you? So, you know, that's the independence I want to have if there wouldn't be any money at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a very nice glider. Is there a particular mentor figure or instructor in your soaring history that maybe particular stands out? Maybe you can share some thoughts there.
Yeah, I think there's no real guys I got to use during my career. I have like a few guys in my club who are very talented glider pilots, and they do some kind of racing, and I think you can learn a lot of them. But there was not this kind of one person that taught me all his kind of things. Maybe I just experienced them on my own, as I like to fly on my own in a glider, so I'm a single pilot flying guy, and I think you can learn the most of experiencing
Right?
your own way of gliding, you know.
Absolutely. Is there anybody else, maybe at your home club or someone you've raced against or flown with or family, that you'd like to give a shout out?
Yeah, of course, my family who supported me very much during my years with this aviation enthusiasm.
Right?
And I thought about like thanks to the Sailplane Grand Prix organizers, or the virtual Sailplane Grand Prix organizers, to having the chance or to connect us, for example, that I have the chance to be here with you and talk about all this kind of stuff. So I'm very happy that it made this kind of circles around the world. That's very great. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next winter to fly with a just soaring rig with my German Condor team CG.
Oh, nice.
And have a lot of fun flying through the virtual air again. And of course, I will be back at the LSG Absolu in May for real life gliding, as I move to Cologne then, and so I can get back into the real air and fly gliders again next summer. So I'm really looking forward to get back there.
Oh, very cool.
Aerox, the #1 in portable and engineered aviation oxygen systems, your source for FAA-approved oxygen mask and portable oxygen systems, and now introducing the Aerox Pro 2 Plus Flight Bag portable oxygen system. Small, lightweight, and simple to use, the Pro 2 Plus is perfect for the occasional user who wants the flexibility to access higher altitudes without worry about flying impaired. Now available at Aerox distributors and at aerox.com. So remember, our friends at Aerox, engineered for aviators.
All right, Ben, it is time for our lightning round.
Yeah, I'm totally ready.
All right, don't worry. These are just short, quick, all right? And then we'll move on to the next one, and you could always pass if you want to pass on one. So we'll have some fun here. Here we go, all right?
Yes.
If you need to pee during a Condor race, you use a P2 pee bag, adult diaper, or a Gatorade bottle.
Yeah, well, I use a real toilet. You know, you can push autopilot in Condor, so I push autopilot and run to the toilet and run back, and so I hope the plane is still flying.
Okay, a related question, and be totally honest here. Have you ever drank a beer, wine, or other adult beverage while virtual racing on Condor? Be honest now, Ben. You're amongst friends, all right?
Yeah, really, to be honest, I do not drink alcohol at all, so that's a bad question at all. But
okay.
if I have a good day, you know, I drink a cold chocolate while flying, and otherwise I stick to
Nice.
water or some sort of juice. That's okay.
Very cool. Very cool. If you're using VR in Condor and other pilots are just using a monitor with pan buttons, are they in danger to you in a gaggle since they can't see around so easily as you and other VR pilots?
Well, yeah, you can see in Condor who's using VR and who's not. So just like in real life, expect everything and fly safe.
What percent of pilots in the SGP this year do you think are using VR? All of them? Half of them? Do you know?
I think it was like around 1/3 of them, so quite a lot.
Okay, yeah. Virtual sound on or off in sync?
On. I want to know everything. Definitely on.
Nice. What's your favorite type of lift to fly in? Ridge, thermals, convergence, or wave?
Yeah, well, in real life, I only had the chance to use convergence or thermals, but I predict and I think I most like ridge flying.
Nice. I like the ridge flying myself. Very cool. Bucket hat, cap, bandana, or stocking cap?
Oh, that's a bucket hat. I'm still using the same one from where I started gliding. So it's the
Oh,
same one
nice. Wow, that's very cool.
for the beginning.
Right?
A lot of luck in there.
Yeah, exactly. What are you wearing when you do Condor racing again? Now, be honest here. Fully nude, underwear only, sweatpants and a top, or gorilla costume from the last Halloween?
Yeah, well, I'm using a ski suit, so it's very warm and feels like a real glider. No, I'm kidding. I just use my daily outfit. Just normal outfit, nothing special there. Except
my
for the
goodness.
Sailplane Grand Prix, we got a T-shirt and I used that for the week. That's the same as the bucket hat.
Nice. Okay, spoilers on turn to final, open or closed?
Oh, that's hard. I would really say close, because if you do a proper landing circuit, you should not need them in the turn, but if it's necessary, you can always use them in the turn as well, but use them wisely.
Last time you looked at the compass?
Off. I think that's the practical SPL examination. I don't know. But I think some time ago, as I said, haven't been sitting in a glider for some time as well. So I don't know, seriously.
Okay. Which PDA screen in Condor do you look at the most while racing, and why?
Oh, that's the moving map and the final glide computer. These are the two I look the most, because I need to know where I am and how much altitude I need for final glide.
Favorite single instrument in your real world glider?
Oh, I would say speed is everything. So speed is safety, and that's the speed indicator.
Yep. Who is a glider pilot that you don't personally know, but you know of them, or have seen them race, or read their book and look up to as a master of their craft?
Yeah, I think the most recent ones are Sebastian Cava and Super Mario. You know me, as a German person, I support Super Mario always. And
Right.
it was fun seeing them racing. But yeah, all of them are their own master of this kind of craft.
Absolutely. So, Ben, what's the coolest or most interesting soaring related YouTube you've seen lately?
Oh, interesting as well. I think the most interesting about gliding is the LSV Flachkurbler. It's a German guy who flies a lot through the Alps and does a lot of after race talk about his flights through the Alps. You can learn a lot quite there. But for kind of coolest thing, that's were the videos from Baleka, the guy from Britain who did a lot of videos, gliding videos. Rest in peace, my friend. And one of my favorites gliding videos is the flying DQs, something like that, gliding season 2015. That's a French video, not very popular, but I think you need to have a look at there.
Yeah, definitely check that out. So, Ben, do you think you'll win the next Grand Prix next year?
Oh yeah, as there will be a qualifying for it, I think there will be a lot more good pilots coming up, but I will try my best and see how far I can get.
Is there one thing, just one single thing, that you wish you could be improved in Condor? Forgetting about the resources or whatever, just a wish list item. What would that be?
That would be the overall atmospheric model, so we can have real life weather and wind systems, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that would be very cool. Ben, I've had a lot of fun chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Chuck, thank you very much for having me. It was very, very much fun talking to you and answering all these questions, and I think it was a little bit helpful for gliding pilots who haven't been into Condor yet, or Condor pilots who haven't been into real life gliding yet. And I think a good combination of both is the way to go for everybody.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to hearing about the sim rig when you get it there from Just Soaring. That is going to be some really cool stuff. You're going to have a blast with that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to that. And I will send you a picture of it, me sitting in it, with my ski suit, you know.
Yeah. Ben, you have a good one. That's, like I said, it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I really greatly appreciate you coming on the show here and sharing your experience with the listeners. And congratulations again on the first virtual Sailplane Grand Prix championship there. That is very cool.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chuck. I'm totally happy that we had the chance to, or that I had the chance to fly there. And yeah, it was a good competition.
All right, Ben, take care.
Thank you, Chuck. Have a nice day, evening, morning, whatever.
Thanks again, Ben, and thank you all for joining us for another episode here on the podcast. We have had some great guests on the show here, but in order to continue to do that, we do need to hear from you. Who would you like to hear on the show as a guest pilot? Maybe you just have an interesting story or flight that you want to share. You can do that too. We do have that audio recorder that I've told you about there on the website. You can leave a short story there if you want to share with the community, and there's a pretty good chance you're going to hear it on the podcast. So just go to soaringthesky.com and leave us your story. We do have some more new soaring segments for you next time, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and happy soaring.
If you would like to say hi and let us know where you are enjoying the podcast, we would love to hear from you. If you are a glider pilot and want to share your aviation journey, contact us at chuck@soaringthesky.com or send us a message on our website at soaringthesky.com and Chuck will get in touch with you. We hope you join us next time for another soaring adventure here on Soaring the Sky, a Glider Pilots podcast. Soaring the Sky is written and produced by Chuck Fulton, co-producer Mitch Thompson. Original music for the podcast was written and produced by Kim Spangler. Graphic design for the podcast was created by Zachary Fulton. Voiceover work was done by Michelle Perez.